So today we're making a video on smoothies. We use smoothies a lot in our clinic, and so the goal today is kind of show people what we like to do with smoothies and why they might be a good option for you when you start to make dietary changes. A lot of our patients, the people we work with, use smoothies, and oftentimes it's just because it's a simple way to start making positive change in your diet. It's really easy, anybody could do it. Not a lot of knowledge required here, we're just kind of throwing stuff in a blender. So really easy way to get started, but I would say outside of that is it can be something that's fast and easy in the morning and tastes good. A lot of people might use them if they needed a quick meal sometime. Maybe if you're an athlete and you're looking for an extra meal in the day, a smoothie could work for that. If you don't have time in the morning, or maybe you got a pre or post workout, you need something quick, really can be just kind of a handy snack sometimes. But in our clinic, we'll have patients maybe with GI issues use smoothies just because they might be more absorbable, they might have less trouble absorbing them. Some of our chronic disease patients might not feel like eating, so they might be more prone to drink. So it can be a lot of reasons to use them, but in general I'd say it's just an easy way to kind of start making good changes in your diet. And I'm going to show you what we put in smoothies, but the goal is to kind of see what we do here and then have you make a combination that works for you out of the choices. So the first thing I would say is certainly you need a blender of some kind, and you do not have to have a Vitamix. This is a Blend Tech. I have a Ninja and a Magic Bullet, and they work fine. Any kind of a kitchen blender would work fine, even a stick blender. So you don't have anything fancy, you're really just using it to mix up the stuff you're putting in it. And so you don't have to have anything advanced. I start off with a little water in there. Little water will make easier cleanup for sure, but we're going to thin this out so it can be drinkable, and the water will help mix it up. So there's probably a half cup to a cup of water in there, and we can add more later if we need to. So a little water in there helps to clean up, get things going. The second thing I'd throw in there is a little protein powder. VEGGIES is a very common protein powder for the people we work with. It's just clean plant protein. Generally, that's what we're looking for, is just a clean protein powder, even sometimes a collagen powder. We just want clean ones. We don't want much junk in the protein powder, kind of a whole foods version of plant proteins or even a dairy or whey protein. We just don't want a bunch of stuff in there outside of that. It's kind of just whole foods protein. People would argue that this isn't as good as maybe a chunk of salmon or some eggs, and that is true. But I don't know that most people would put those in a smoothie. And again, if people don't have time for making an omelet or something in the morning, we're kind of giving them an option that might be easier. So not perfect, but certainly a step in the right direction here. So healthy protein. We certainly want protein in every meal or snack, and this is a way to get protein in a smoothie. You can see this is flavored chocolate. They come in a bazillion flavors, so whatever works for you. The combination I'll show you here is just one I like. So chocolate protein powder for a little flavor, gets the protein in there. You see this one says with greens on it. You do not have to find it with greens. It's just a way to get some healthy carbs or leafy stuff into your protein shake, to have some with greens in it, and I'll give you some more options here in a second. But so this is really just a chocolate flavored protein powder is what we're using it for. On the back you'll see it says about 20 grams of protein in a serving, so that's just a scoop, and they'll tell you 1 or 2 scoops usually. So it's essentially just throwing a scoop of protein powder into the blender, and there's your protein. So that's step one. The next thing I would always add is the fruit. So the next step is, protein category. Now we're going to carbohydrates. A little bit of fruit for flavor. So it's usually half of a frozen banana. Certainly do not want a blender full of bananas or berries. So the goal is to put a little bit of fruit in for flavor, but we don't want too much sugar in there because, again, we just absorb that and we're hungry too quickly. We eat it, we store it, and we're hungry. So a little bit of fruit for flavor, but not too much. So we want it to taste good. So that's what the fruit will do, give you some good fiber, some good nutrients. So fruit would be a carbohydrate. The second carb we're going to add here is usually some leafy greens. So here's some spinach, just some spinach out of the refrigerator, and you're essentially just throwing that in there. You could use any green, and then also the option to use maybe a protein powder with the greens in it. Also on the market, plenty of greens powders. So this is a greens powder, and that's all it is. You would add this along with protein powder, and it probably isn't as good as actually using the spinach, but it can be convenient. If you were taking the greens to work or to school and didn't have refrigeration, then the greens powder would actually work better, and you wouldn't have to worry about keeping it cold. So greens powder might be advantageous to use sometimes. Certainly not as good as the green probably, but a good way to get greens into people and we struggle to get enough green stuff into people. Certainly want more greens in there, especially for people low in magnesium, and nearly everyone we test is low in magnesium. So pretty important to get that mineral back in the body. It's very important for proper biological function. And most athletes don't know magnesium actually activates ATP. So just if you feel fatigued, it could be magnesium. So for somebody that's looking to be high performance, certainly magnesium is a pretty important part of that. So greens would get you that. So in the smoothie, you want to make sure we got something green in there. The last thing I would add is be the healthy fats, and this is canned coconut milk. Really just looking for canned coconut milk that might have a short list of ingredients. We don't want a bunch of junk in there. I think this one has 2 ingredients. So you can see it's kind of yogurty and thick, and that's why I use it. You certainly don't have to use canned coconut milk, but I like that thick, creamy stuff. So I usually keep this in the refrigerator and just cut this in half and blop half of that in there. So that's a healthy fat serving. One of the things I use with that most of the time is avocado. Avocado is a superfood. Even if you don't like them, you won't notice them in there. It certainly can make it a little green color, but that's a superfood. It's full of important nutrients and healthy fats, a lot of good fiber. And outside of the green stuff being good for magnesium, it's good for fiber, to get fiber into us. The fruit and the healthy carbs actually have good fibers to feed the good bacteria that live in us. So those are very important, we know. So the healthy fat, the first one would be the canned coconut milk. The second thing I typically would add is the avocado, but today I would say I'm going to throw in a couple spoons of the nut butter. This is just healthy peanut butter. And so in the ingredients, you just see the word peanut. So if it's almond butter, it should say almond. Just looking for healthy versions of nut butters. So you're getting a little flavor from the peanut butter plus the healthy fat in there. So a couple spoons of that is a serving of healthy fat. People also put MCT oils in there. Some people would put like tablespoons of olive oil or coconut oil. MCT, just important in the athletic world. It's in a lot of recovery foods and drinks now. MCT oil is essentially the shorter fats of coconut oil. So any kind of oil could go in there. Remember, small amounts. We're not putting a bunch of it in there. And then depending on the texture, if you like the thickness, the avocado, the canned coconut milk, you could grind up handfuls of nuts in there or leave them kind of chunky, really kind of a texture thing. So goal is to get 2 servings of healthy fat. So when you see our smoothie form, you're really just kind of going across that page, picking out your healthy carbs, and then your healthy protein, and then your healthy fat. And in total, what happens in that combination is you're actually making that smoothie a meal. And that's something we don't focus a lot for some reason. We want to make sure every meal or snack has good fat and good protein. There are certain fats and proteins that humans can't make. We have to eat them. So in every meal, every snack, every smoothie, we're always worried more about healthy fat and protein because of that essential nutrient. But we're also worried because if we don't get enough of those 2 things, we're hungry all the time. Those are both long-term energy. So getting good fat and good protein in every meal will actually ensure that you're not hungry all the time. And we find that universally true. If we can get the meals balanced and the snacks and things cleaned up, the smoothies, people just feel better. They're not as hungry. And then you're not forced to eat what's around you, which sometimes is a problem. So in total, we're trying to find some combination of these foods and nutrients that work for you, you think taste good, and you feel good in them, and they last you a while. But I'd say the cool thing is people generally love these things, and at least for a while, people kind of overdo them most of the time. They're so good. So especially in the summer when it's hot, maybe a cold smoothie would taste good, but I use them off and on year round. I think it's just a simple, easy way to get some good nutrients in. I always throw in at the end of this, when you get done with the smoothie, as soon as you make it, dump it into a cup so you can take it with you or drink it, but then get some hot soapy water in that blender, fill it most of the way up, and then put it up on high, and it usually kind of self-cleans itself. You just dump it and rinse it out. So again, when you think about convenience, we're always worried about things taking too much time. If you don't have time to clean it right away, just fill it full of water and leave it in the sink until you can. But it'll just make it easier to clean up later. So again, just keep in mind that we're looking for a combination of these foods that really work for you, something that you feel good, that tastes good, and then to notice when you start subbing out bad things with good things in your diet, just notice how much better you feel, how sometimes people are sleeping better, they have more energy, they're not as tired, they're more focused, less headaches, better skin. I mean, it's amazing how this can manifest. We are so undersold in this country the importance of nutrition. Essentially, this food we're eating is what we are made of, and how could that not matter? So work on this, try out a smoothie, experiment with it, try to find one that works for you, and just keep making changes and adding more or less. You get to where you're just throwing these together like I do, and it's really cool. So good luck with your smoothies.